First thing to notice here is we're dealing with how many hours you told me you'd spend on my class. So, looking at this data here, first of all, I want you to notice that while it looks like a histogram, it is not actually one. It's not a histogram, A, because the bars aren't actually touching each other. Another reason it's not a histogram is I don't have a number line at the bottom, right? I'm going 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. So I don't have those intervals going on. This isn't a histogram, it's actually what's called a bar graph. And it's got little bars in it. Difference between a histogram and a bar graph is a bar graph has separated bars, and we consider these things at the bottom categories instead of actual numeric values. So I've got categories on the bottom, not a number line. That being said, let's go ahead and look at the data. Now, I'm going to be doing quartiles with this, and if I'm doing quartiles with it, I have to have numbers, right? I've got to have a quantitative variable here. My problem is there's one of these that's not actually quantitative, and that is this person right here. They said 5 plus. Now, the thing is, 5 plus isn't actually a quantitative response, right? It's a category. And so what I'm going to do, rather than approximate, rather than say, well, 5 plus could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm just going to go ahead and totally ignore this person. Sorry, guys. What this means is, now that I'm ready to go ahead and do my quartiles, I'm going to go ahead and write my numbers in the bottom, and I'm going to ignore that one. So I had one person who said 2, a person who said 3, 4, 5, and I had 6 people who said 10. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tens. I also have a 14 and a 15, and here's where I realize I've made a terrible mistake in my life. And that is I also have a 7.5 and an 8. So I'm going to go ahead and take all these, and I'm going to move them over, and I'm going to add in that 7.5 and that 8. Now I've got my list of numbers. I can go ahead and I can find my quartiles. Remember, to find my quartiles, I start by finding Q2. Q2 is my median. Then I'll find Q1, which is the 25th percentile, or the median of the lower half. And then I'll find Q3. The process is going to be a lot like our previous example. There's only one difference, and that is, remember, I got rid of someone, which means n is no longer 15, n is actually 14 in this case. Which it doesn't seem like would change a lot, but it actually does. So if I've got n equals 14, to find Q2, I'll take n plus 1 divided by 2. This allows me to find the position of the median. This will give me 15 divided by 2, which unfortunately is 7.5. This is unfortunate because there is not a 7.5th number. That is, if I count in, I have my first number, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and then I go to the 8th number. There's no 7.5th number. What this tells me is my median is directly in between my 7th and my 8th number. That is, in this case, because I had an even number of entries, the median isn't actually a number in this set, it's in between two of those values. So my median in this case is between 10 and 10. Normally what we do then, when the median is in between, is we'd average those two values. It's kind of ridiculous for me to average 10 and 10 though, because it's just going to be 10. That is, my median in this case, Q2, is 10. This changes a little bit how I find Q1. The reason it changes is there's no number crossed off, which means my lower half is this entire set over here. That is, there are 7 numbers in here, and nothing crossed off in the center. I find this, once again, the number here by counting them, or I can just take n, 14, divided by 2, which gives me 7. So 7 numbers in the bottom half there. To find Q1, I find the center of that. Well, if there are 7 numbers, the center will be the 4th number in, which in this case will be that 5. I can also find that by crossing off to the center. There are 7 numbers in the upper half, which I use to find Q3, which means my median of that set, my 75th percentile of the overall set, will be the 4th number in, which will be 10. Notice in this case, Q2 and Q3 are the same exact value. What that tells me is between the 50th and 75th percentile, well, they're 25% of people, right? So a full 25% of our class, at least, says they're going to spend 10 hours on our course. Having all this, I'm going to go ahead and write my information down below. Q1 was 5, Q2 was 10, Q3 was 10 as well. As just a reminder here, Q1 is the 25th percentile, Q2 is the 50th percentile, Q3 is the 75th percentile. That is 25% of people said 5 or fewer hours, 50% of people were above or below 10, and 75% of people were at or below 10. The important thing to realize with this example versus the last is just that my sample size actually matters. If it's an odd sample size, that means there will be a literal value in the center. Our median will be a selected observation. Once we select the observation, we'll leave it out of the top and the bottom half. If we have an even number of observations like we did here, we won't have a literal value in the center. We'll go ahead and we'll just put the dividing marker. Nothing will be crossed out.